Alright, across we go, down the river. Or rather, this is technically... Well, that doesn't really make sense. Where is the water coming from? Like, you would think based on... Okay, that it has to be that it's just the way the map is oriented. It makes the waterfalls look weirder than they are. Because the only thing that makes sense is... The river starts up in the mountains, filling that lake to the right of Finn. Then it flows, you know, up north. It flows north to the lake up here where Summit Falls is. And then it must be that the waterfall is... Yeah, so the way this map is shown, like, the waterfall goes down, so the lower portion, but that's not the way water flows. That's not the way water works. Like, sure, it's a fantasy world. It might be beholden to different laws of physics than ours, but there's nothing in this game to suggest that other than this. Because the idea here is showing that, okay, the only thing that fully makes sense then is that the water... Basically, the way this works is this lake is filled from the mountains surrounding it, okay? And then immediately bifurcates with most of the flow going down the falls and following the river down to that lower lake where maybe it goes underground to fill the lake at surrounding Finn, and from there it flows out to sea. Whereas the other bifurcation flows up here to sea, because that's the only way that actually makes sense. But then again, you know, Final Fantasy I's world, the waterways there made like no sense most of the time either. But that at least made it worked a little bit better, because there you did have overt magical forces that had a hand in constructing the world through the various elemental crystals, like the water crystal and so on. So it kind of made sense. Here, there's nothing like that in this world. This is a much more down-to-earth world where, yes, there's magic, yes, there's monsters, yes, you have, you know, things like airships and stuff like that, but there's nothing to suggest, outside of the existence of magic itself, there's nothing to suggest that this world does not follow the same laws of physics as our own. So I probably would just chalk it up to most, you know, a combination of the developers, the people who designed the overworld map, not fully understanding how water worked when it came to maps and stuff like that, because most of the other waterways actually do make sense on this world. You don't have that many, but like I said, the lake at Finn makes sense because it presumably fills from the mountains to the east, and then it flows out to sea. You know, it bifurcates once, which doesn't fully make sense. Normally you wouldn't really see that except at like a river delta, but it kind of works. And then again, if you discount the Summit Falls, you know, that big water system near Summit Falls would also otherwise make sense. I wish I could move the cursor around freely on this map, but the little river to the northwest of Finn makes sense. The river down on the southern continent makes sense. You know, the moat lake around Kashuan kind of makes sense, but not really. And the same with that other lake. Again, there are such things as landlocked lakes. You know, Kashuan kind of makes sense because, you know, you can kind of almost assume it's like a volcanic caldera that's been filled in with water like that and stuff like that. And there's nothing that says it has to be fresh water. So otherwise, you know, again, you know, all of the inland lakes, yeah, they kind of could make sense as well. So it's really just the falls themselves of Summit Falls that doesn't fully make sense on this world. There are definitely far more egregious examples. Like I said, like almost none of the water in Final Fantasy 1, none of the waterways in Final Fantasy 1 make that much sense. Alright, we have icicles. Let's go ahead and... Oh, let's do fire. And then Joseph doesn't know any magic, so he'll just stick to regular physical attacks. All right. Not too bad. So yeah, we immediately switched onto the Snowcraft, which seems to be a wind-powered thingamajig. All right. So yeah, the other thing about Final Fantasy 1 that just doesn't make sense is you get the ship pretty early in the game, and that's how you traverse, you know, you get to most of the places you need to get to throughout the first half of the game. And the problem is that supposedly the wind has stopped and the seas are raging, which are kind of somewhat contradictory because it's usually the wind that makes the seas rage to begin with. But, you know, thanks to the weakening of the crystals, you know, the wind has stopped, the seas are raging. And yet your ship is a sailing ship. At least that's what the sprite shows. And it's never explained how that sailing ship works in a world where there is no wind. You know, the wind has failed. Let alone the fact that the seas are, like, supposedly raging as well. You know, here at least it makes sense. You don't have direct control of the ship at this point. But, you know, it still makes sense because there's nothing in the lore about the wind not working or the seas being constantly raging. You know, that kind of thing. So, like I said, on the surface, you know, Final Fantasy II's world makes a lot more sense than Final Fantasy I's ever did. We're almost there. All right. Not too bad. All right, before we go in, let's go ahead and pop a save. I don't know why I'm, like, obsessively saving like this. I think it's because I'm still in that mentality from playing Final Fantasy 1 on the PlayStation, where it was, you know, a fairly restrictive saving system. You had the memo saves you could do pretty much anytime you weren't in combat or talking to somebody or in a shop menu or whatever, but here you have autosaves every time you load up a new map. You have quick saves you can use pretty much anytime you aren't in combat, and then you have, like, full saves you can use on the overworld whenever you want, as long as you're not in combat. So I really should just, like, wait to save like that until after. But I know it's always good practice to have multiple saves. So I don't know. Anyways, we're at the Snow Cavern now. So we have 13 chests to find here. And there are 2 on this floor. Alright, we also have some undead here with the ghoul. Sadly, he's not wearing a cowboy hat, so he's not a cool ghoul. We got more snowmen, not that I was expecting much different. There we go. Alright, so first up is up this way. We've got some icicles. We're ambushed. Just going to leave it on attack, go straight to auto battle. This isn't a fight I need to worry about, although I do need to make sure I'm keeping an eye on people's health. Maria's not looking too great, but she's also not looking that bad. So it doesn't look like these guys are really that much really helping our physical attacks that much. So I kind of want to focus on magic a little bit, but I also want to be careful because I don't remember how long this dungeon is, and we're probably going to have a boss fight at the end. So we want to be a bit careful about using magic for the tougher fights. But the problem is also that if we don't use magic, we can't build it up. We can't strengthen it. Like you can see, you know, our Thunder 1, you know, most of our level, most of Furion spells are still level 1. You know, the same with pretty much everybody else. It takes some time to build these up and make them powerful. Alright, here, let's go ahead, pop a couple fire spells on everybody. I keep forgetting you just automatically do that. Actually, you know what? You do fire. You do protect on... Excuse me, on everybody. And you do fire as well. And then you just straight up attack. Because I want to build up Protect. You know, the higher level it is, the stronger it gets. And it's not going to be very useful late in the game if you don't build it up. There we go. That's a door. Why is there a door right down there? Alright. Can we get through this door? No, we can. Oh, I know where that goes. I know where that leads. Okay. That's how we get out of the dungeon. Alright, we do have a door here. But here you can see the more the verticality coming in. That helps break, you know, even though like most of the floors are like very squarish in their design. Very compact. You know, they did that, in my suspicion at least, they did that in part because they wanted to introduce more verticality. So like we're going to go down, and then we're going to have to come back up from the next floor in order to get the remaining chests on this floor. Alright, so we got grenades and goblin guards. We got ambushed. These guys are easy enough with physical attacks, so I'm not going to worry about magic. Alright, there we go. Alright. Anything in here? No, nothing in here. We have... Ooh, we got ambushed by dual heads. That's not good. That's not good. Okay. I wonder if they work the same way they do in Final Fantasy III. Probably not. Because Final Fantasy III has a very specific gimmick when it comes to dual heads. And I don't think they thought of that gimmick here in Final Fantasy II. They did not exist in Final Fantasy 1. Alright, let's do a... yes. Actually, no. Let's do Thunder and Physical Attack. So no, they did not. That does not work here. Okay. So in Final Fantasy III, dual heads are part of a special class of monster that if you just attack them, you know, physically attack them with normal weapons, they will basically split in half and like spawn another one. However, in Final Fantasy II, they don't. So Final Fantasy III, you either have to use magic against them, or you need a Dark Knight, because they're weak to Dark Knight specific weapons. That, you know, if you kill them with a physical attack from a Dark Knight specific weapon, that prevents them from coming back. But that's Final Fantasy III, not Final Fantasy II, which is what we're playing right now. Not playing Final Fantasy III, not yet. Alright, got icicles. There we go. One punch from Joseph and they're gone. Alright, so here... excuse me. So here we've got a chest to the left, stairs back up to the right, and then stairs down to the bottom left. Alrighty. Just deal with these icicles real quick. Alright, what do we got here? Antarctic Wind. Ooh. I don't know if this is in the original game or not. This may have been added in later. I'm pretty sure by Final Fantasy III they had included these. I don't know if they were in Final Fantasy II. But these are items you can use. They're consumables you can use in combat that have the effect of like a magic spell. So, you know, this is a stone that summons a magical ice storm. You know, this is basically the answer to Final Fantasy 1, which like halfway through the game introduced equipment items that had, you know, what you could use as, you know, equipment pieces you could use as items in combat to cast spells. This takes that concept, divorces it from the equipment aspect, and makes them single use. You know, they're consumables. Whereas Final Fantasy 1, the gear, you could only use it once per turn, but you could keep using them ad nauseum throughout the fight, and again, you know, in subsequent fights after that. So I would have to go back and play earlier versions of this. I'm pretty sure it's in the PSP version, but that's unfortunately the only other version of this game I've ever actually played through. I'm pretty sure I started the PS1 version at some point, but I never really got that far into it. And I've never played the Game Boy Advance version. But I've played the PSP version at least twice. I've played this version at least twice before now. So, yeah, now we have grenades. No actual bombs yet, but now we have grenades, which are a yellow version of balloons. Yellow with white eyes and teeth instead of red eyes and teeth. Oh, and they're stronger too. Okay. Although not against Joseph's punch. Damn, man. Alright. So we got treasure chests down here we want. Alright, none of these fights are really that hard. Alright, what do we got over here? We'll find out after this fight. Alright, there we go. So we got a battle axe. Guy. Oh, we already have a battle axe equipped. Because we already bought one. Alright, grenades and goblin guards. Oh, shit. Shit, 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 shit. Oh, damn. Self-destruct finally hit. Furion, my dude. Alright, let's go ahead, go to Maria. Let's use life, since she has it. And then let's go ahead and use cure a couple times to heal people up. And then go to Furion, use his cure to get everybody back up to full. Alright, not too bad. So we got antidote. Alright, snowmen, straight up attacks. There we go. Not much trouble there. Guy got an upgrade. That's good. Uh-oh, we got monsters. What do we got? A bunch of grenades. Okay, let's try fire on these guys. You know what? Let's do a shell on everybody, just in case. And let's have you do a blizzard to see if they're weak to that instead of fire. So Joseph can just one-shot them. Good. Self-destruct missed. Miss. Good. Alright, so I'm hoping this will help protect against self-destruct if it pops off. But I have no idea. So not weak to ice. Okay. Fire? They are weak to fire. Okay, good to know. Alright, let's do a blink. And let's do a fire and attack. So we should be able to take care of 3 of them this turn. There we go. Use up that blink. And then straight up attacks. Good. Self-destruct missed. Alright. Bye-bye. Grenade. Okay, we got a mithril mace. Interesting. Okay, if we take a look at that here. Mithril tip mace. So it counts as a staff. Interesting. Alright. That'll be worth selling at some point. Alright, we just got some icicles. They are no trouble at all. There we go. Alright, so we gotta go back down. Alright, bye-bye grenade. Good. Alright, so far so good. Alright, got some good upgrades there. Alright, so where do we need to go now? It's just straight down. Okay. Down and over. Alright, battle the dual heads. Alright, so Guy's weapons are increasing a little bit. But most of these enemies are not good enough to really increase our weapons. Okay, that is not cool. Or not cool. So we have two deadheads, a ghoul, 2 zombies, and a shadow. Alright. Pop up a fire on everything. You know what? You'll do a cure on everything. And then straight up attacks. So it's that shadow I'm kind of a little bit worried about. Oh shit, we got paralyzed. Therian's paralyzed. Alright, fire 2. Oh shit, okay, that takes him out. Well, that's good. Alright, more icicles. Alright, not too bad. Alright, Maria. Alright, what do we got here? We have a door and a whole bunch of chests and some stairs. The door's probably not going to lead anywhere, but I always have to try. I always have to try, just in case. Alright, remember, we're in here looking for the Goddess Bell, so we can actually access Kashuan Keep. Alright, we got ambush. I'm going to just drop this on auto attack. I'm a little bit worried because these guys can paralyze us. But they're also not that strong. It sucks a little bit that Maria can't really do anything. But we got some good gil for that. So we got a potion for our trouble. Got a bunch of grenades. Maria, you need a better bow. Alright, so we got a Blizzard Tome. Everybody already has Blizzard, don't they? I could give it to Joseph, but the thing about this game is, you may have already realized it with Minwu, that 4th character slot is kind of a revolving door. You know, you pick up guest party members throughout the game, but they eventually leave to make room for the next one. And Joseph, spoiler alert, leaves at the end of this dungeon. So he's really just here for this. So he's a nice little, you know, bare-knuckle brawler. One of the neat things about the guest characters, though, is, you know, you can change them however you want, just like you can the other 3. But they're all kind of set up when they enter your party for certain things. Like Minwu is a white wizard. You know, Joseph is a monk or a grand master. So it kind of gives you a look into like alternative builds for your characters if you so choose to take them in that direction. Because again, the cool thing about Final Fantasy II is, you know, the leveling system is so free-form. You can really take your characters in any direction you want. Bad news is, because it's so free-form, your characters, unless you set specific targets for them, end up getting a bit homogenous towards the end. So I try to keep them with like their default weapon styles, like this Mithril Spear. You know, none of our characters are going to use that. I tried to set Maria up as my white mage, Guy as my black mage. Therian's kind of a paladin, so he gets a few extra white magic spells, maybe a few other, you know, pick-me-up spells. You know, maybe he's a little bit of a red mage instead of a paladin. But he's focusing on dual-wielding swords, whereas Maria's focusing on bows from the back row. Guy is focusing on dual-wielding axes, that kind of thing. You know, I have no real vested interest in changing their weapon types. Alright, so that is everything on this floor. Just this door. Which, of course, there's nothing in it. There's never anything in there. And yet I keep checking them anyways, just to be safe. Alright, let's try... let's try... No, let's not use magic. Let's just go straight up attacks. It's not going to take too long to grind through this fight. I'm going to want to heal people up soon, though. There we go. Alrighty. Alright, so what we got on this floor? We have a door, we have 2 doors, and 2 treasure chests. Alright, let's try up first. Because the treasure chest over here is close to the door over here. Hopefully it's not the door forward. You know me, I gotta try to get everything I can. Without putting too much effort into it. If it's too onerous, then it's just usually not worth it, but... otherwise, and sometimes I'll do challenge runs for myself, like, oh, we got a mithril shield. Except we have nobody who's using shields. Therian, would it be worth it to have you go back to doing a shield? Lower attack, higher defense. No, I don't think we're gonna have you do that. Guy? Yeah, it's just, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, it boosts your evasion pretty high, from 22 to 92%. But I don't think it's really worth it. So I think we'll just hold on to it to sell. So yeah, a couple years ago, I went and platinumed the entire Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. I don't think I'll ever try to 100% complete them again. Maybe, I don't know. If I did, it would probably have to be the Xbox versions, because I've never played them on Xbox. I've only ever played the PlayStation versions. So I could try to go get all the achievements. Although, I don't know. Ooh. The Xbox Live Marketplace for 360 is shut down now. I don't know if I could buy the DLC for Final Fantasy 13-2 at this point on Xbox. Maybe if they ever put it back on Game Pass, it'll be included. Or maybe because it is a backwards compatible title, maybe you can still buy it that way. Because I know the backwards compatible titles from Xbox 360 are still available for purchase on the Xbox, store on Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, and on Xbox on PC. Although, if there's no PC version, you can't really buy it that way, I don't think. So I don't know if the DLC for Final Fantasy 13-2 is available that way or not. And unfortunately, the DLC for 13-2 is very important to the overall story of the 13 trilogy. One less so than the other. Saz's DLC overall isn't that important, but it is actually, no, now that I think about it, it is important to where he's at during Lightning Returns. And it also reveals something rather important about a side character from 13-2, I believe. So we got the Ancient Sword there. So that, I think, is a good upgrade for Therian. It lowers our accuracy by quite a bit. But, yeah, sword that invokes an Ancient Curse. But it raises our attack quite a bit as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. Alright, there is one sword we want to eventually get that we do not want to ever sell. I'll explain more when we get there. It's like halfway through the game that you get it. But yeah, Lightning's DLC in 13-2. It doesn't really explain where she's at the beginning of Lightning Returns, but it does explain how she got to where she is at the beginning of 13-2, because there's quite a leap from 13 to 13-2. Final Fantasy 13... Oh, yeah. I thought there was going to be another floor here. Okay, Final Fantasy 13 is basically a complete story, and then 13-2 goes off in a completely different direction. That basically undoes the ending of 13. Anyways. So yeah. We have beavers. Snook chit. Yeah, a whole bunch of giant beavers. And we can't talk to them. None of them say much. Until you talk to this guy. Snook Sook Chit. Guy, speak beaver. I'm sure you do, Guy. What a ladies' man. Snook Snook Chit. Alright, ask... Oh, the only thing we can ask about is the goddess's bell. So, Guy, a man of few words, apparently also speaks beaver. I guess the implication is supposed to be that he is raised by animals? I don't know. Secret passage in wall to right. Monster guard bell. Bell in wall. Alright. So, I recently learned, and I'm not sure entirely how true this is, because this was hearsay, I learned this on the Final Fantasy subreddit, that these beavers were originally supposed to be Moogles, but for some reason, they ended up going with beavers instead. And the Moogles got pushed back to being introduced in Final Fantasy III. Because, you know, Chocobos were supposed to be introduced all the way back in Final Fantasy I, but for some reason they weren't. They were held back and pushed to be introduced in Final Fantasy II, where they're not even like that important to the story. They're just kind of around in the world. You can use them and stuff like that, and that's really it. So this way... So yeah, just all these guys still say Snook Snook Chit. So this way is where we need to go. Alright, if we check our map. So yeah, there's only one chest left. And that would be for the bell. Alright, we got ambushed. So the bell is in a trap chest then. I hope it's in a trap chest. And not that, you know, there's going to be a random encounter with something super powerful. You know, a hidden encounter point or whatever. Alright, deadheads. You are gone. Alright, let's go ahead and take this opportunity to heal everybody up. Alright, so Cure leveled up. Okay. Alright, let's go to Guy. Let's use his. There we go. Guy has the most MP right now. So the problem with using magic outside of battle like that is, yes, the magic continues to level up, but you don't get the MP increases. Those are only from using magic in battle. So you do have to be a little bit careful sometimes about relying too heavily on healing with magic outside of combat. All right. Just gotta follow this winding passage around. Deal with these guys. Yeah, honestly, when it came to getting the platinums for all the 13 games, the worst one was Final Fantasy 13, because that has some really grind-heavy trophies tied to it, including one where you have to have held at least one of every weapon and accessory in the game. That includes all of the weapon upgrades, and there are certain accessories that have to be upgraded as well. That there's only like a handful of them in the game. If you're not paying attention, and if you sell or dismantle the wrong thing, you screw yourself out of that. Because it doesn't carry over from various playthroughs. There's no like New Game Plus. There's a post-game in Final Fantasy 13, but there's no New Game Plus. So nothing carries over when you start a new game. Versus Final Fantasy 13-2, which also had some like really grindy trophies, but not to that extent. And the way that game is structured, again, there's not really a New Game Plus. There's our enemy, our boss. There's not really a New Game Plus, but the way that game is structured, with it being based around multiple timelines, you can basically rewind chapters to play them again. Lightning Returns, by contrast, is a semi-open world game where you have a strict time limit for the game. And there are ways to, extend that time limit and, cause it to slow down and stuff like that. So it's not as onerous. And that does have a New Game Plus, because there are trophies that can only be gotten on your second time through. So at minimum, it requires playing the game like at least 1.5 times through. But it can be done. All right, so I opened this up because we got a silver cuirass. Oh, I have a copper cuirass. When the hell did I get that? We'll go ahead and equip the silver cuirass. And we will give you... No, we'll give Guy the Copper Cuirass. There we go. When the hell did I get that? How did I not already have that equipped? What the hell? Oh, I know what happened. It gave us Minwu's equipment, didn't it? Didn't it? It did. I guarantee you it did. If we look here, that's where that mace came from. That was Minwu's, or the staff, or whatever. They were Minwu's. The extra leather. Oh my god. How did I never notice that? How did I not notice that? Oh, I was expecting all of Minwu's equipment to disappear when he left the party. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and drop a quick save here real quick. Because we have a boss fight. It's an Adamantoise guarding the bell. Stay on your toes. Alright, just like we fought that ice turtle or whatever it was, now we have to fight an Adamantus. Or Adamantoise. And these guys are usually pretty strong. Usually weaker to spells. And I want to say the Adamantus is weak to ice. I could be wrong. But these guys usually have pretty high physical defense. You know, it makes sense. They have an armored shell. But they're weak to magic. I want to say it's specifically ice magic. But I don't know for sure. Oh, shit. Okay. We're going to have you do ice. You do a protect on the party. And you do ice, and then you do straight up attack. Or not. Okay, not that bad, honestly. That Antarctic wind really helped. I'm pretty sure we will see these later as regular enemies, though. But for now, Guy's Blizzard leveled up, so that's good at least. We got 600 gil. And here is the bell. There's something set in the wall. It's the goddess's bell. You obtained the goddess's bell. That is always good to have. Alright. And now we can continue up here to get out. And we can just straight up walk out. I wonder if you could actually use teleport to get out. I have to imagine it's blocked. I have to imagine it's blocked because there's a way this dungeon is supposed to end. That's part of the story. And if you could just teleport out, it would not work. So I imagine up until you defeat the Adamantus, you might be able to teleport out. But now, I bet you anything. Yeah, it's grayed out. You cannot teleport out of the dungeon now. You have to walk out. But, you know, the goddess bell just immediately dropped us back to the first floor. So, we can get out pretty quickly this way. Alright. And you may have gotten a sneak peek at what's waiting for us right before this battle started. Now, who do I spy? I spy Borgin. Curses! You've already gotten to the goddess's bell. First you ruined my standing with the Emperor, and now this. How did we ruin your standing with the Emperor? What did we do? The Emperor will never forgive me for messing this up. If I ever get back to the Empire, he'll have my head. But I'm still a soldier. If I'm going to die, you're coming with me. Well, that's not good. So now we have a second boss fight with Borgin. Alright, let's try fire. Let's do a protect. Let's try fire and then physical attack. Or not. Wow, this guy's a total pushover. Well, I guess it makes sense. He's supposed to be, you know, weak-minded. He is a turncoat after all. No strong morals whatsoever. Joseph's hands leveled up. And Borgin died. I may have lost, but don't think that you've won. I've booby-tracked this cave. Just a little parting gift from me to you. Well, that's not good. With his dying breath. I'll be waiting for you in hell. Ugh. So he set off the booby trap with his dying breath. And now we have an Indiana Jones style boulder run. Oh, this thing's fast. Damn it! Oh, that wasn't so bad. Go on, get out. We not leave you. I can't hold it much longer. So he's strong, but he's not that strong. Damn it. Run! So we run. He holds it off long enough for us to get out. It's up to you now, Firion. My sweet Nelly. And then, unfortunately, it overwhelms him. And Joseph! Yes. Unfortunately, Joseph is now dead. That's the second of our allies to die. First Scott, and now Joseph. Oh, not good. And of course he's gone, and took with him the extra bronze gloves. No, actually, they're still in our inventory, along with the rest of his equipment. Not that he had much. Alright. Well, it's time for us to head back. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh well, it'll be fine. There we go. Now, what I wanted to do was this. Oh, not quite that either, but it's fine. It's whatever. But we got Fire Protect level up for a good everybody. Alright, heading off for the snowmen. Gotta take them out now. Yes, heal ourselves a little bit. Alright, just go straight to regular attacks now. Alrighty. So we're back down to 3 party members. Oh, we gotta make our way back to... all the way back to Altair. Actually, no, I think we just need to go straight to Kashuan. But we're gonna stop off at Salaman first. Yeah, we can go back to Altair if we want, but there's really no need at this point. We know where we're supposed to go. We have to go to Kashuan now. But we need to stop at Salaman first. Let Nelly know that her father's gone. Poor little girl. She's an orphan now. You know, they never tell you what happened to her mother, but she's obviously not in the picture. I choose to believe she died in childbirth, but you never know. Maybe she had, maybe she died of disease or something, or some kind of accident, or she was murdered, or I don't know. Maybe she lives somewhere else entirely, a different town. Maybe she was in Poft or Paloom. All I know is it was just Joseph and his daughter, and the woman who was pining after Joseph. Alright, we're almost back to Salaman. I don't know why, but when I'm sitting at my desk, wearing my headset, I can usually wear it for hours on end with no problem. But when I'm at my couch, it starts bugging me after a couple hours. Like it's pressing on my ears weirdly now. It's you know, the band is pressing on my top of my head weirdly. I don't know why. I don't think it's a posture thing, because that doesn't fully make sense to me. All right, we're back in Salaman. Alright, do these guys have anything to say? No, not Joseph, so yes, they do now. Don't let Joseph's death be in vain. You have to get that bell to Kashuan. So yeah, that's where we have to go. Joseph's dead, isn't he? Yes, he is. Lady, thank you. Wanted to talk to this guy. Okay, you say the same thing. Alright, we're going to stay at the inn real quick. To heal up. Alright. about this guy back here? I hear there's a weird bird-like creature called a chocobo living in the forest south of Kashuan Keep. Yes, I already found it. That will be how I get back to Altair, easy enough. Once we have the Sunfire. Poor Joseph. I'll look after Nelly in his place. I know that would make him happy. Do you? Do you know that for sure? Well, either way. Yeah, poor Nelly. Daddy. Daddy isn't coming back, is he? No, I'm afraid not. Poor Nelly. Alright, we have plenty of money now. Let's see what upgrades we can get. Alright, mace, longsword. Okay, no actual upgrades here. In terms of here. Okay, let's go ahead and get 3 bronze helms and a bronze armor. Oh, you're dual wielding the spear now. I forgot spears were a single weapon, single-handed weapons. I think they're better off oh, I know what I have. Yeah, I know. You know what? Why not? We'll let you dual wield a spear with your sword. No, that's not what I want. Stay with the damn longbow. Really? Mithril Mace, that's your optimal? Stay with the battle axe. Yeah, screw it. Well, why not? Why not? It's your offhand. I don't know. Do I want to? Yeah, I think we'll do that. Take a look at our statuses. Oh, he's got like nothing. Alright, we're mixing weapon types, I guess. Alright, yes, we may as well max out our potions. Get 5 more high potions. Screw the rest of this. Go ahead and sell the Blizzard Tome. I'm not going to need that. Same with the extra long swords. Battle axes. Mace, staff. I don't need those. Sell the extra longbow. Mithril shield. Leather armors. Gloves. Caps. Bronze gloves. Alright, we've sold everything that we need to sell. Let's go ahead and get some more Phoenix Downs. A couple more Ethers. Cottage would be useful. Let's go ahead and get a cottage. Give me 2. There we go. Alright, not much money left, but that's fine. What spells are you selling again? Excuse me. Probably a good idea to have more people know life. So we'll go ahead and grab one of those. And we'll use that on Firion. There we go. Sort items. Good, good, good. Alright, now we need to get to Kashuan. Alright, so we're going to go overland. Rather than going to Poft and hooking a ride with Sid's airship, we're going to go overland. Just so we can get some extra weapon levels on our new weapons. And also some extra gil. Alright, so Firion's spear leveled up, so that's good at least. Even though he missed. Alright, not bad, not bad. Alright, here's Bafsk. Is it worth stopping here? I'm not sure. Alright, guy's staff leveled up. Let's try Bafsk. What spells are you selling again? What equipment, too? I don't have a lot of money, but maybe I can buy something? Alright, oh yeah, you have Fear, Basuna, Asuna, and Silence. Basuna, no. Cures status ailments when used in battle. Does it not work outside battle? Basuna is status ailments that wear off after battle. I don't think Asuna works outside of battle. Ooh, that kind of sucks. Huh. Alright, then I'm going to... You know what? We will go ahead and get Asuna. Just in case. No, not you. Teach it to Maria, since she's our white mage. Alright, and that is it. Alright, so we continue down to the south here. There we go. Alright, not too bad. Alright, we're almost there. We have to go around the mountains, though. Alrighty. Oh, no. There, I just saw in the mini-map, there's a break in the mountains on the other side. So we don't have to go all the way around. There's a pass in the first ring right here to the east. See, our defense is so high, these guys are not, like, doing anything to us anymore. There we go. Alrighty. Deal with these guys now. Although we got poison. We can see whether or not Asuna works. Oh, that's the long form poison too. So actually, we'll see whether or not Asuna works outside of combat. Yeah, the purple poison is the long form poison. Alright, got this queen bee to deal with. Let's try Asuna on you. Since you have the deep poison now, especially. We definitely want to level up Asuna to like level 7 or so. Oh, we're not going to get the chance to use it in combat. Alright. Magic. Okay, so you can use it outside. No, you can't. Oh, that sucks. Well, it's a good thing I have antidotes. Yeah, cures venom and poison. The purple one is venom, I think. Whereas the green one is poison. There we go. Vampire thorns and leg eaters. Alright, there we go. Good. Alright, so that just leaves the leg eaters, which are like no trouble at all. Nope, back. Will Asuna work on regular poison, or does it have to be Basuna? Because it lasts, you know, it goes... Oh, yeah, it does. Damn it. Because it goes away after combat. Alright. So maybe I do want Basuna. Damn, okay. Alright, deal with these soldiers. There we go. Not too much trouble. Alright, so we're finally back to Kashuan Keep. So let's go ahead and heal up. I've got plenty of potions, so we may as well. They're so damn cheap in this version of the game. Alright, we'll go ahead and save as well. And how long have we been recording? We've been going for almost an hour, almost 2 hours. So I think we'll go ahead and save this now, or stop now. Save Kashuan Keep for next time. I will see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.